You know what I could really go for right now? Literally anything that comes in a McDonald's carton, wrapper, or bag. Or a McDonald's cup. Yes, any of those items should do it.
We've got your cravings covered. Now stop in for the flaky Filet-O-Fish, the crispy snack wrap, or large fries for just $2.99. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Game night's fun until someone spends 5 minutes lining up one shot. Chalk, breathe, re-chalk, still aiming. While they figure it out, I fire up Chumba Casino. I can spin anywhere, anytime, and there's always a new social casino game every week. Spins happen way faster than that shot. Play now at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
He's an old head.
Youngins are really starting to get on my damn nerves.
He's a purveyor of nonsense.
Calhoun.
He's a Georgia high school coaching job influencer. His favorite Bible verse is Jesus wept. He's the man of constant sorrow, Chris Lamb.
Yeah.
Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, and I'm truly honored today to be joined by a Georgia coaching legend from one of the legendary coaching families in the state of Georgia, Coach Hal Lamb. Thanks for being with me.
Coach, I appreciate you having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, Coach, you played for a legend, and then you became a legend yourself, and everybody in your family coaches. Everything's tied to some kind of coaching football. Where did you play your high school football?
Well, I wouldn't call myself a legend, number one, but we'll go with it. But I played for my dad at Commerce High School. We were fortunate enough to win a state championship with my dad as the coach and my brother as the quarterback and me as a wide receiver. I was a junior and my brother Bobby was a senior, so that's something we'll cherish the rest of our lives. But yes, we both played at Commerce High School, and Dad, who coached for over 35 years, was our coach, and it was an unbelievable experience.
I bet that was cool getting to play for your dad and just getting to see how different. I mean, because Milt Miller's son and I were roommates in college, and the stories of he would say things like, "Well, yeah, he's funny to y'all. You didn't have to go home with him when we lost." Having to balance out what it was like being a coach's kid and then play for him.
Well, there's good experiences and bad experiences through all of that. And, sometimes sons and fathers or daughters and moms, sometimes the experience is not so good when they coach their children. But in our family, it's always been a pleasure, and it's always worked for me, my brother, and our kids playing, and my dad, and us playing for Dad. So it's a unique experience, and you always hear the rumblings of he's only playing quarterback because he's the coach's son, blah blah blah. But we didn't hear much of that because winning solves a lot of problems. But we had a great experience.
Well, did you get an opportunity to play college ball at all?
Yeah, when Bobby graduated, in high school we were a wishbone, so. We were a wishbone team. My dad didn't know what a forward pass was, so I might have got a couple of balls per game when I played wide receiver. So when Bobby graduated, we really didn't have a quarterback, so I had to go to quarterback my senior year, and I think I completed my first pass in the 5th game of the season, which is kind of funny. But yeah, I was fortunate enough to go to West Georgia College. Back then it was West Georgia College. It's University of West Georgia now, but Coach Bobby Pate gave me a partial scholarship to play wide receiver there, and turned out to have a great career. We wasn't very good as a team because I was part of the first Division II class at West Georgia. They had just won the Division III national championship, and I was part of the first Division II class, and they all thought that they were just going to go into Division II and kind of be competitive, but it wasn't the case. It took us a while. I think our best year, my 4 years there, was 5-5. But individually, I had a good career, but team-wise, we struggled just because of being in Division II. But and Bobby Pate was my head coach for 2 years, and then Frank Vohan was my coach for the last 2 years.
Really? You played for Coach Vohan?
Oh, yeah. I played for Coach Vohan the last 2 years, and then I GA'd under Coach Vohan for 1 year. Me and Mark Loudermilk, who some people may know Mark, who's a coaching legend himself. But, yeah, we were GAs under Coach Vohan, and there's it was rough. But Coach Vohan, I have a lot of respect for Coach Vohan.
Oh, man, that's awesome. I've got a Vohan story. We interviewed my wife and I went and talked to him when he was at Haralson County. And my wife sat in on the interview. And, he's a big old man. Or,
yes.
He was a big old man.
Yes.
And I loved him. And I had, knew a lot of people that knew him or whatever. So he gets to going, and he got fired up about something, and he jumped up and threw a chair, did something. And my wife's very laid back. And when we got in the car, she looked at me and she said, I'd play for that man. So,
yeah, he's, I'll tell you what, he was, I got a couple of stories myself. He was, during the open week, a lot of times in college, that he sent all the coaches out recruiting. Nowadays this would never happen, but he sent all the coaches recruiting, and he was the only one that conducted practice
by himself.
He was the only coach at practice, and we were scrimmaging. He wanted to scrimmage for about an hour, and the next thing I know, there is a brawl between the defense and the offense. And Coach Vohan is the only coach out there. And then another story, when I was GAing, me and Mark Loudermilk, back at Carrollton, we had to bus we played at Carrollton High School, so we had to bus over to Carrollton High School. Well, the very first time me and Mark Loudermilk drove a bus was driving the team to the stadium.
Oh, no.
And I was a nervous wreck. Don't ask me how we got away with it, because I have no idea. But that was the first time me and Mark Loudermilk drove a bus, and that was to drive the team to the stadium.
Because Coach Vohan told you and the milkman, get them over there.
That's exactly right.
And y'all said, yes, sir.
That's right.
Coach Vohan was a dude. I loved that dude. I just loved that man. I would have played for him.
Yeah, he was a good one.
So you knew all along you were going to be a coach.
Yeah, that's what I had planned to do. Dad was such a good coach and a big influence on me. Obviously, we couldn't do the things that they did back in the day, like grab face mask and all of that. But,
right.
He was a big influence on the way he treated people. And, my mom was in the school system. At one point, my dad was a middle school principal and head football coach, and my mom was over the custodians at the high school. So, we grew up in school. So, I knew I wanted to be a coach, and I really didn't want to go. I had opportunities to go to college route, as assistants and all that, but I wanted to stay in high school just because my boys. I had two boys, and I didn't want to be one of those that moved around all the time. But yes, from the get go, I wanted to be a coach.
So when you got out, where was your first job?
Well, luckily, I did a GA 1 year at West Georgia, and then Mike Earwood, who was, a lot of people may know him. He was at Carsville and he was at Stars Mill. He went, I got another story about Upson Lee, and then he came back. I think he went to Stars Mills from Upson. Yeah, that's right. He went to Upson Lee and then to Stars Mill. But yeah, he was the offensive line coach at West Georgia when I was there, and he got the Cartersville head job that year, that right after I GA'd, and he brought me with him to Cartersville. And luckily, Cartersville had a PE job, a middle school PE opening. So I'm teaching middle school PE and coaching at Cartersville High School under Mike Earwood.
That's a pretty good one to start out under. Yeah,
it was great. And he he wanted to go to the wing T. We obviously weren't wing T at West Georgia, but he wanted to go to wing T, and I was all in. And we drove to Delaware and did all the clinics at Delaware, and we were vanilla wing T back in the day at Cartersville, and we really had good times at West Georgia. I mean, not at West Georgia, Cartersville. We actually won the state in 1991, and then he decided that he wanted to leave in 1995. He wanted to go to a school that had one school in the county, and he took the Upson Lee job from there. But my first job was at Cartersville teaching middle school PE. I was coaching the running backs, and after about 3 years, I became the offensive coordinator.
So you were at Cartersville your entire career?
No, I went to. I was at Cartersville. I was almost had the job. I mean, I can tell that story if you don't mind, but I was offered to Cartersville when Coach Earwood went to Upson Lee High School. He wanted me to go with him, and there were some people that wanted me to stay and get the Cartersville job, but I was so young. I was 31 years old, and the job was head football coach and athletic director. And I said, there's no way I can be head coach and athletic director at 31 years old. No way. So I proposed to him to be the head football coach and assistant athletic director, and then let me learn. And then maybe 3 or 4 years I could be the athletic director. And one night the principal accepted the job, and for one night I was the head coach at Cartersville. And then I go the next morning, and the superintendent says, no, that's not what the job is. Is the offer is head football coach and athletic director. We're not going to make you assistant athletic director. So I said, if you don't feel good about who you're working for, you don't need to be working there. So me and my wife prayed about it, and we had just moved in a house, 6 months, brand new house, 6 months, and we prayed about it, and went with Coach Earwood to Upson Lee High School, and then he leaves Upson Lee after 1 year and goes to Stars Mill, and again he wants me to go with him, but I said I am not moving my wife and my family again. So we stayed at Upson Lee, tried to get the head job at Upson Lee, and that was at Upson Lee was my first head coaching job at Upson Lee, and I stayed there 2 years. And my wife wanted to get back up to North Georgia, so we applied for a lot of places up here in North Georgia. And at the time, Calhoun had came open, and when I was at Cartersville as an assistant, we played Calhoun. And I said, man, Calhoun, I think would be a great job one day. And I said, it's a lot like, back in the day, it was a lot like Commerce. Obviously, it's not like Commerce now because it's a lot bigger. But back then, it was very similar to Commerce. And, it was a God thing because I'm sitting there, who is going to hire a coach that won 5 games in 2 years? Well, it ain't what you know, it's who you know. And Larry Harmon, who's the superintendent at Calhoun at the time, was the principal at Cartersville when I was there. So I was fortunate enough to get the Calhoun job in 1999, and I did that for 20 years.
That's right. I don't know. I guess it's the C's I had confused.
Yeah,
Cartersville and Calhoun.
Well, there's a lot of C's. You got Commerce, Cartersville, Calhoun.
Yeah, and I tell people from out of state when they ask me about jobs.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com.
Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
In North Georgia, I'm like, well, I can tell you this. If it starts with a C, they're generally good.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and that brings me, before you get into the Calhoun years, I want to point this out to people that listen, that you're one of the very few people. I don't know if you're aware of this. You probably are. There are very few people in the state of Georgia that can say that they won a state championship as a player, as an assistant, and as a head coach. And you're in a very special fraternity, Coach.
Yeah, that me and my wife have talked about that. I've truly been blessed. I don't know how many people are across the state that have done that, but yeah, we do talk about that some. And I was very fortunate, obviously, to win it as a player. And then we beat Cedar Grove in 1991 when I was at Carsville, and we were very fortunate enough to win 3 state championships at Calhoun. Now we were 3 out of 8 in championship games at Calhoun, so the percentages are not very good, but we were fortunate enough to win 3 of them.
Well, talk a little bit about building that thing up there, because like you said, when you got there to start off with, it was a small, nothing like it is now. I mean, of course, the growth from Atlanta has just been meteoric, heading that way, and it used to be a small town.
Yeah, it used to be small, and obviously it's not small anymore. But in my first year, we were Class A. We probably had, back then, Class A was probably 500, 600 some students. And, we won 2 games my first year. And people were, looking at me like I'm looking at me sideways, like, what in the world have we hired here? And it's a funny story. Mr. Harmon, who was our superintendent, we were in the cafeteria after football season, and he was kind of kidding around. He said, look, I could have hired anybody to win 2 games. I could have hired anybody to go 2-8. Oh, I better get to work then.
Yeah.
And then, it just, it took one victory. I want to say it was one victory, but, I really hit the middle school programs when I first got here because I knew what the future was. And we go into AA, the year after that, and we're sitting there 3-3 the next year, and we're going to play number 1 ranked Cartersville. My good friend Frank Barton was the head coach, and I told my wife or told somebody, I said the only way we can beat Cartersville is they turned it over 5 or 6 times, and they did. I think they turned it over 5 times, and we played really good, and we were able to upset them at their place to win the game and make the playoffs. So we go 7-4 that year and get beat in the first round of the playoffs. But that was a huge, huge stepping stone in this program about making strides to be a championship program, and it just gradually and that's all. We all know it's all about hiring the right people and having hard-nosed kids that like to work hard, care about winning, care about each other, and that's the way we built our program.
So, how many times did you guys play for it before you finally won it?
Let's see. We got beat by Charlton County in 2005. We fumbled late in that game that we had a chance to win. We fumbled late going in. Charlton County beat us in 2005, and that was at our home stadium. And then in 2008, 9, and 10, and 11, we played Buford for this championship. We finally beat them 2011. So 2005, 2008, 2009, 2010, and finally won it in 2011.
So what was that like to finally, the perseverance to just keep, to get those kids to just keep believing, to get back. I mean, because people say what they want to. Getting to it once is a monumental feat, but getting to it over and over and over and coming up a little short, I mean, rallying the troops had to be, what do you?
Well, it was difficult, man. My good friend Jess Simpson over at Buford, their program was phenomenal. It was, and there was a couple of times we couldn't have beat them. If we had, you know, 22 players versus 11, they were just so good. But there was a couple of years we could have beat them. We took them to overtime the year before we beat them, and the score was like 13-10. And when it's 13-10, you're sitting there saying, okay, we can't move the ball on them big suckers, but we can play pretty good defense. So we decided, we were wing T. So we said the only way we could beat people like Buford, and it was probably a year before that. Well, I can't remember when that was, but it might have been. Let me go back. Yeah, it was Early County. We played Early County in the playoffs my son's senior year, which was 2008, and we played Early County, and they had in the quarterfinals, and they had a really, really, really good defense. But they were simple. They were sound and simple. And we were running the wing T, and we had some, they played a lot of man, and we're going to get some people out of the backfield. We're going to score a bunch of points. We felt good about it. And I think they held us to 3 points. So we look at ourselves and we say, okay, we got to find ways to spread the ball and get our people in space. We're still running some wing T. So we wing T and spread for a little while. And then that was my son's junior year. His senior year is when we go to the spread. And we felt like the only way we could beat people like Early County and the Bufords was to spread the ball out. And that's what we did. And that was, when we went to the spread, the first year, we didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't know the adjustments when somebody did this or did that. But the more we got into the spread, and then we started implementing some wing T runs into it, and then we kind of evolved into a lot of running out of the spread. But we felt like we had to do that to beat Buford.
I remember going to a clinic in the early 2000s, and you were talking, and I don't know if you remember these concepts, but I never forgot them. And it was passing concepts out of the wing T, and you called them cake, ice cream, and candle.
Yeah, I do remember that. Semi-remember that.
And somebody raised their hand and was like, "Why do you call them that?" And you said, "Because it's easy. It's cake.
Yeah.
This should be easy, like cake, and then this goes with it. And what goes with cake? Ice cream."
Yeah,
and I was like, "This is fantastic. I mean, this is because I'm all about simple."
Yeah.
And it was just like a bench route, and I mean, it's just different kind of flood concepts you were running, and it was ways to get the ball out on the edge, and it had to have been about that time or near that time.
Yeah, it was. I do remember some of that.
But I just remember I'd never forgot that, and I've shown people that at places I've been. I'm like, Coach Lamb put this in one time, and he called it cake and ice cream because it's easy.
I want to say cake was a curl flat, and then we evolved from that.
Yeah, I was like, he said anybody can throw this. That's why he called it cake. And I was like, because it's simple. So anyway, I remember you talking about that. So what was it? I mean, winning that first one, was it just like a massive relief, or did you think, all right, we don't broke the seal off now, we've gone 1-1, surely we're going to get some more, or you just keep going and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, if a lot of people probably remembers that 2011 game, we were up 14 points and late in the game, and I had really taken my headsets off, and a lot of people talk to me about that. Don't ever take your headsets off. But took our headsets off, and we were kind of celebrating. And then we had we had a deep snapper who went on and snapped at Georgia. We had to punt about midfield, and all we had to do was get it off. We called timeout. We said, just protect, don't worry. We were about midfield. Protect, don't worry about going and cover the punt. Just protect, because all we got to do is get it off. Well, the snap was a little low, and we had a couple of upbacks that just turned around and looked. And the punt, we never did get a hold to it. The ball goes up in the air, and Buford returns it all the way back for a touchdown. We got a tie game at the end of regulation. And so we're going into overtime. And I'm saying to myself, I really can't believe this is happening, because we're about to lose to Buford again. So we go into overtime, and the very first play they run a toss sweep and get about probably 8 to 9 yards. But we had a kid, Hunter Knight, who's a linebacker, put his head on the football and popped the football loose, and we recovered the first play of overtime. And so we go out. It's our ball to win the game. Ball's on a 15-yard line. We got the best kicker in the country. We got my youngest son was a holder. We have a good holder, and we have a good snapper, which, our snapper did snap. The last one was great on the punt. But I said, we got one of the best snappers in the country. Let's just kick it. Let's don't waste any time. He can just kick through the uprights. We'll win. The game's over. And that's what happened. He kicked it right through the uprights, and we were state champions. And I think the community here really needed that, because we had been there 4 times and haven't won it yet. And I think that really brought this community close together. It really did.
So of the 3 that you won as a head coach, is anyone more special to you than the others, or are they all equal?
Well, they're all great, and they're all great. And but the very first one, as a head coach, and your youngest son's on the team as a wide receiver, my nephew is the quarterback, and these guys played together for so long. I mean, there was a great senior group, and Buford, it was probably the most talented Buford team that we played, to be honest with you, of the 4 times we played them. And we were, it was just a special bunch. But, they were all special. But I think 11 was probably more special just because it was the first one. And we had another, one of our better teams didn't even win the state championship. So it's kind of the way it works. Sometimes, the ball bounces our way, or, we had in 2015, we played in Blessed Trinity in semifinals, and one of our best players ever to play for Calhoun, a tight end that signed with Auburn, ball goes right through his hands to win the game, with 25 seconds to go in the game. So, it's just the way. But, 2011 and in 2014, we beat Washington County, and in 2017, we beat Peach County.
Yeah, I remember the very first one, and we talked on it off air before we got on here about how we were very distantly related. So when y'all were playing, I would always call you Cousin Hal. So y'all sitting there playing. My wife, we got the games on, and I walked in. I go, "Come on, Cousin Hal, we got to get it. Come on, this you surely to God we're gonna get it this time." So we're up 14, and then when they tied, I was like, "Oh no, Cousin Hal, what are we doing?" And my wife's like, "You're an idiot. Just shut up. The guy doesn't even know who you are."
What's funny, when I got back on the bus and started looking at my phone, I got so many text messages that says, "Congratulations."
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
Oh, crap. Disregard that.
Disregard that.
I'm sorry. I sent that.
Too early.
Send it in.
Yeah. Well, good things happen to good people. And, you're definitely one of the best guys in the business, and well-deserved with that. And so your kids come through, and they go on, and now your sons are, you got a son coaching, and he's coaching college ball, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're me and my wife been married for 37 years, and we dated 8 years before that. So we've been together a long time, 45 years. And, we've been blessed with two boys and that were athletes. And that's one reason I really didn't want to leave Calhoun, that I wanted them to participate in any sport they wanted to. I mean, my youngest son was football, basketball, and tennis. My oldest son was football, basketball, and baseball. So they did it all, and that's what I wanted them to enjoy. It ain't like nowadays where, we're doing a lot of specializing, which I don't agree with. But Trey is my older son. My youngest son is Ben. He's 31 years old. He did not go into coaching. He's a financial guy at Shaw Industries up here in Dalton and doing well. He loves the 9-to-5 part. He's doing very well. And then Trey went on. My youngest son actually played some receiver at West Georgia, but then he didn't play after that. But my oldest son played quarterback at Tennessee Tech. He was a 3-year starter there at Tennessee Tech, and he was very fortunate. They won the first championship, OVC championship, in I think 75 years this junior year as quarterback. So he had a really, really good career at Tennessee Tech. So he stays on there as a GA at Tennessee Tech, and then he played and coached for Watson Brown, who was Mac Brown's brother. Mac Brown's at the University of North Carolina. And then he goes to Mercer as the quarterback coach for my brother Bobby, who started the program at Mercer. And then he goes back to Tennessee Tech as offensive coordinator for a couple of years. And then he gets his first head job at Gardner-Webb University. He was there at Gardner-Webb the last 4 years, was able to win the OVC championship the last 2, made it to the FCS playoffs, got beat in the first round. No, I'm sorry, they won their first round, his third year there. But he gets, in November, he gets the East Tennessee State job, which is still in FCS, but it's in the Southern Conference. Everybody knows about the Southern Conference in this area. It used to be the Georgia Southern and the Apps. Now it's the UTC Chattanooga. You got East Tennessee, Samford, Furman, Wofford, Mercer, all those guys. They're all in the same league. So he's been the head coach at East Tennessee State since November, just got done with his first spring. And he's excited about the opportunity at East Tennessee State. So we're still doing a lot of traveling. We try to go to every game. And, we got 4 beautiful grandchildren. He's got 2 little girls, and my youngest son has a boy and a girl. They're 4 and 2 years old. He's got 2 of them at 4 and 2 at 2. So we're very blessed.
They keep you running, I bet.
Yeah, I love being a granddad because, you can play with them a couple hours and send them home.
Get them jacked up and send them home.
That's right.
And you basically just told us all of that to tell us that your youngest son's really the only one that's got any sense, because he got out of the coaching game and he's actually
Amen.
He's got a real job. He's making making money.
Yeah.
So you get them jacked up on sugar and high on Mountain Dew, and they love Papa, and send them home.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
That's awesome. So switching gears a little bit, your brother is a very successful college coach. So
it was crazy.
So what's that like?
Yeah, and we're going to get to him, but we hadn't even talked about my brother-in-law, who's the head coach at Rabun County. And my sister was in coaching when she was in Calhoun. But we'll start with my brother. He started he's a great player at Furman. He goes to Furman out of high school. He's a great player there. Stayed on to coach. There's assistant coordinators. And then he becomes the head coach. And he leaves there after about 6 or 7 years and goes to Mercer, starts the program at Mercer University, which is everybody knows about, which, that's really how we got Taylor at Calhoun. He needed to, they actually lived in Calhoun for 2 years. And a lot of people, they think, your nephew, you recruiting, blah, blah, blah. But they actually lived in Calhoun for 2 years, and he recruited to Macon. He stayed there Monday through Friday. But they had hired him like, it takes a little longer than people expect to start a program. So they hired him like 2.5 years before their actual first practice or first game. So he leaves Mercer, and now he's a little bit older than me. I'm about to turn 60, so I think he's 61, about to be 62 or something. I can't figure it all out, but he's starting a program at Anderson University in Anderson, South Carolina, and their first game will be this fall. So it's a Division II school. They're in the same league with Lenore Ryan, Carson Newman, Catawba, Wingate, all those schools. So it's in the SAC 8. But I told him he was crazy when he was talking to me about starting another program. I said, have you lost your mind?
Yeah, a buddy of mine, when I worked at Northside Warner Robins, Casey Vaught was one of his offensive line coaches at Mercer, and he loves your brother.
Yeah. Casey's a good one.
And he was like, I might go. And now he's in Texas. He just got a head coaching job about a month ago in Texas. So,
and my brother-in-law, Michael Davis, he was my offensive coordinator for 20 years at Calhoun, the whole time I'm here. And he decides to go to Rabun County as an assistant. Number one, my mom and dad are kind of old. We need somebody to help take care of mom and dad. So they go to Rabun County. My sister is close enough to help them. I think Rabun is about 45, 50 minutes from Commerce, where they live. So we thought that was a good idea. And he goes to Rabun to work for Jay Beaushaw. Jay Beaushaw was the head coach. Hired him up there as the offensive coordinator. And J-Bo leaves and goes to Wayne County after 1 year. And Michael calls me and said, Coach, what do I do? I said, dude, the only thing you can do is apply for the head job. If they like you, they'll hire you. And lo and behold, he applied for the head job, and he got the job, and he's died and gone to heaven at Rabun County. I mean,
oh, absolutely. That's where I want to go when I grow up.
It's a great place to coach. It's a great place to live, and the facilities they got are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll win a state championship, but they are very, very competitive. They've won a bunch of games. Sometimes, when they get to that third round, they face a bunch of speed like Swainsboro, people like that. And sometimes they don't have enough speed to stay with them. But as far as great high school football players, Gunnar Stockton played there. Jaden Gibson, who's a receiver at Virginia right now, played there. What's the big tight end's name? Good gracious, plays in the pro. Or Kurt Warner.
Yeah, I got to see him when I was at Early County. We played them in the second round. Yeah,
so,
the Warner kid.
Yeah, he's in a great place. And my sister's my sister's part-time. She's half a day. She's teaches in the school, but she's able to go check on my mom and dad on a lot. So it's a really, really good setup for our family right now.
That's awesome. And you aren't completely out of it either.
No, when I retired in 2018, basically my body was worn down, and people don't realize, and I'm not, I don't want people to feel sorry for me, and I'm a humble person, so don't take this as bragging, and a lot of people, remember Jeff Simpson went through this, when you play 13, 14, 15 ball games a year, it just wears on you because the playoffs are so hard. I mean, regular season's hard too, but when you get to the playoffs, it's win or go home, and you just, you do all you can to win a ball game. And, the Lord had told me that we had a few coaches' kids on our team, because I've really, really hired some really, really good assistants in my time at Calhoun. And I had a few coaches' kids on the team. They were going to be seniors in 2018. And I said, this would be a perfect time to retire. I said, I'm worn out. I want to turn it over to somebody else. And I want to do something different. So I retire, and I go back and work part-time at the at the school. And I kind of wanted to be assistant athletic. I wanted to stay involved in athletics. I wanted to be part of the athletics, and it just didn't work out that way. And basically, I was over the custodians and facilities and all that stuff. So I did that for 2 years, and then, as a lot of people might know, I play a lot of golf. So especially now that we're empty nest, so I play in a lot of senior golf events. Once I turn 55, I play senior events all over the state, and so I'm playing a lot of golf, and I'm playing golf with the headmaster at Christian Heritage School, which is a small private school in Dalton. And he keeps bugging me about coming up there and work for them. And I told my wife, Kim, I said, all right, let's go talk to him. So we go talk to him, and he throws this package out to me, and I can't turn it down. I looked at my wife, and I said, it's just a 25-minute drive every day. We don't have to move. My title was going to be Athletic Director of Development. So I really wasn't athletic director, so that was even better. So I take that job, and I stay up there 1 year. 2 years. And in the third year, our athletic director leaves, so he makes me the athletic director, which is fine. We only had 200 students and not many sports, but it was really, really a good school. Really, really a good school. Enjoyed it. Didn't have any problems. Just loved my drive. It was just great people to be around. And then I get a call from the superintendent at Calhoun, and they kind of want me back in that capacity. I said, okay, I'll sit down and talk. And so now my title is Executive Director of Athletics at Calhoun City Schools. And I was able to hire an athletic director, which I really, really like. And so I'm back at Calhoun working and trying to get the athletic programs back where they used to be.
Well, that's awesome, Coach. I'm glad you're getting to do what you want to do.
Well, I enjoy athletics, and it's kind of like Trey was playing again, because we're still traveling. We're traveling up to Johnson City, Tennessee a lot. We traveled all to his Gardner Webb games. So it's good that I can still work and be part of the athletics at Calhoun, but I can also be able to go see my son coach.
And that's important. I know how much that means to you. And talking about over the years, me and you were talking ahead of time about spring football and how much the high school game has changed in the state of Georgia. What are some things that are just...
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Really get on your nerves these days that you're free to say without worrying about upsetting anybody.
Well, to be honest with you, Coach, I mean, even in 2018, I did not like the direction the recruiting was going. I knew it was going to get worse and worse. And one thing I do miss, I don't miss a lot of things about coaching, but I do miss the camaraderie with our coaches on staff, and then I miss having contact with the college coaches. But with that being said, I think recruiting is out of hand. I think high school kids don't play for their high school anymore. All they're trying to do is get a scholarship, and that bothers me because I was taught growing up to play whatever sport you wanted to play and play for your school, play for your high school teammates. And it's not happening anymore. It's and I talk to my son about it all the time. The portal, NIL, it's out of hand. The high school kids aren't getting recruited like they need to be. 5 stars and 4 stars, yeah, they are, because everybody's loving on them. But the ones that are Division II, Division III, FCS guys, there's a lot of them. A lot of those kids are slipping through the cracks, and that whole recruiting stuff and kids not playing for the high school. And, you know, I've said all along, there is probably the best job coaching right now is someplace like where you're at, or a commerce high school, where there's still small school. You know, you got 30 players that love to play the game, and you coach ball, and you don't worry about anything else. You just worry about the high school game. And there's a lot to be said about coaching at the small schools instead of chasing the money and chasing the 6A, 7A programs and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm 5 years away from being able to hang it up, and I love being with the kids. I love that part of it. I'm starting to get tired of the adults.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, though, if they came in tomorrow and said you can't coach anymore, that's okay. I still enjoy teaching. I still enjoy being around the kids. But, you know, my son being a 10th grader, he goes to Hawkinsville.
Right.
And, you know, I don't want to miss, you know, I'd love to get to eat lunch with him every day.
Exactly.
And hang out with him.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've spent 27 years raising other people's kids.
Right.
And, but, you know, that's decisions I've made. But, you know, people don't think about stuff like that sometimes, and they make poor decisions. That's why I'm tried to, you know, I pick on young coaches a lot about everything because y'all raised us to be a certain way, and we've dropped the ball. My generation, the one right under y'all, we've dropped the ball on raising these younger coaches because I don't see them. I don't know. They just don't. I don't think they get it. Or the game's just changed to a point where they're playing the game the way it is. I don't know.
Yeah, and you know, I'm 100% behind you. The young coaches, you know, even here at Calhoun, we got young coaches. I just want to coach one sport, coach. You know, they've never had to line a field off. They've never had to spend 4 hours painting a football field, and all of a sudden the paint machine tears up. Oh gosh, and we got to try to fix it for another hour and a half. You know, the little things like that, they get so torn up when coach asks them to wash clothes. And it's just, you're right. The younger generation is a little bit different these days. You know, we got one kid here at Calhoun that he coaches high school football, he coaches high school basketball, and he's the middle school track coach. And I say all the time, we need more coaches like this guy. Now, I'm not saying coaching 3 sports is the answer, but at least 2 sports. And you're right. The younger generation just don't get it like they used to.
Yeah, they look at me crazy because all I do now is coach football. And I'm like, well, I put in my time.
That's right.
And I'm a special ed teacher.
That's right.
So now you move me back into PE.
Yep.
I'd be glad to consider doing something else. But
that's right.
It ain't going to be baseball. I can tell you that. I mean, I've done that, and I've had enough of that, and that has nothing to do with the children, and it has really nothing to do with the game. But, you know, and it's nice when you get older, you can kind of pick and choose. Like, you learn how to say, no, I'm not doing that.
That's right.
You know, putting your family first.
Early in my career, I was a football coach and JV basketball, varsity assistant. Now I coached the golf team. So, you know, early I was a 3-sport guy, although some people, and I mean, not many people know this, but I was also a state championship golf coach at Cartersville.
That's fantastic.
So, I mean, we went to, and anybody that's a golf coach will understand this. We won the state championship at Helen, Georgia. When I was at Cartersville, we shot 331.
Ooh, in Helen?
Yeah, Helen, Georgia.
They must have been good.
Well, it was we were good, but you know, a good score in high school golf, a real good score is 300.
Right.
And most of the time, that's going to win the state, or even 290 something, 280 something. But
right.
Number one, the course was a very hilly mountain course, and if you got it off the fairway, it's a lost ball.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They must have been good because I'm thinking 330 in Helen is probably better than average.
So, I did coach 3 sports, and, a lot of people don't think, and back then I didn't think golf was coaching, but, it does take time away from your family, but I did enjoy that part of it.
And now you're getting to play golf when you want to.
Yep, I'm very fortunate. I like to play golf. I like to play tournament golf because it keeps that's my competitive edge, because I'm still a competitive person. And when I go watch Trey and them play, it's a whole lot harder to watch him coach versus play.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm sitting there saying, why are we doing this? Why aren't we punting the ball? Why are we going for it? The new answer is analytics.
Right.
It's analytics, coach. I said, okay. They still call me coach.
Right.
Kids. So, it's analytics, coach. I said, well, okay, well, whatever. Y'all think about analytics all you want to. Me and my dad over here talking. My brother, we're over here saying, punt the ball, and you're going for it.
Yeah, look at play the clock, kick it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, our head coach is a younger guy, and I mean he's a coach's kid too, and he gets it. So but a lot of sometimes I'm the oldest guy on the staff, so I'll be 50 next week after next. So I mean I'm still not. I'm just the oldest one on our staff. So I'm that guy. They're like, "What do you think, Lamb?" And I'm like, "What do I think? We're playing against a clock. Kick it."
Yeah.
Kick it. The odds of them being able to go down the field 80 yards in a minute and 2 seconds with one timeout, low.
Yeah.
Kick it.
Now, with that being said, I think Trey is very smart when it comes to the game of football. He's a lot smarter than I am when it comes to the game. Because, he couldn't be he still calls his own plays. So he can't be an offensive play caller at that level and not be very, very smart.
Oh, ain't no doubt. I don't question any of these younger guys' intelligence whatsoever.
Nope.
And it's just different. That's the only thing
it is.
It's just different. It's a different game. It's just different. That's just
and it's different across the board. It's different across the board.
Yes.
It's not just, it's just that generation.
Yeah, it's just a different game. It's a different way to, deal with kids. I mean, I still enjoy them. I can still cut up with them and still reach them and talk to them. And, that's one thing I admire about you is, what a man of faith you are and how open you are about that on Twitter and Facebook and everything else, where your socials is that you make no bones about, what you put first in your life.
Well, there's a lot of, I look back on my career, and there's a lot of things, even the great career that I had, there's still a lot of things I would do different. I would really, look back. I'm a man, more of a man of faith now than I was back when I was coaching. So I wish I was that kind of person when I was coaching. Now I never did cuss the kids or anything like that. I did, lose it every once in a while, but majority of the time I didn't want my kids cussing. I didn't want my coaches cussing. So I was big on that, but my faith was, ever since I have retired, I look back and I say, man, why did I do that back then? I could have done this better. I could have been a better influence on these young people's lives from a faith standpoint. My wife is the Gordon County FCA director here in town, here in our county, and she's a retired educator. So, she's is really a woman of faith, and we try to talk to people about faith now, and we're big in the FCA. Obviously, we still go to FCA camp in Black Mountain, North Carolina. We try to get all these coaches involved. We try to get kids involved. So, but what the crazy thing is I look back on the career and wish I had done something different.
Well, Coach, as somebody from the outside looking in, it was fun to watch. I appreciate you so much for being on. It's truly an honor to actually get to talk to you and listen to you tell your story. And I hope that you come and play in the Lee Murray with us next year so we get to hang out. There's some other old heads too. Bob Herndon's there, and he's way older than you. Bobby Mack and Kenny Moore, and
I'm tell you what, I remember the Lee Murray tournament back in the day. I think I was still coaching at Cartersville. I think I was the golf coach at Cartersville because we used to have, I don't know if you remember this, but we used to have pros come in and try to teach.
Yeah, do like a demo day. Yeah.
Yes, try to teach the golf coaches about short game, about bunker play, about putting, and that was at Oak Mortgage State Park. I remember it like it was yesterday.
I mean, I know you play in the Hall of Fame tournament every year.
Yep.
You need to come on down. I told Willoughby, I said, well, he ain't got nothing else to do. I'll ask him.
I'd love to. Y'all gonna have to give me a taste. I'd love to come down there.
Now you're probably gonna be in that first. You're probably gonna be in that first flight with all the dudes, but that's not gonna bother you.
Oh, no. I had no idea that me and you were kin until we got to talking on the phone earlier either.
Yeah, fifth or sixth cousins. I mean, we won't bump into each other. And then Ron Duncan at Screven, and then we've got, which he wanted me to call you out on that, but now he's going to be lining up. And he told me that he talks to Bobby all the time. And Bobby was like, "Do you know that man Acosta-Saro guy? He speaks at the Nike clinic in Orlando, and he has a podcast." And we're related to him. And Ron's like, yeah, I've known that for like 10 years. How did you not know that? He's like, man, he must be like way down the family tree. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously. Look at my career compared to y'all's career.
Ron, that's good. And Ron's, he's got it going on down there in Screven County. He's a funny character now.
Yeah, he said he's got another run of them coming if he can just hang on and get them through.
That's good.
But, Coach, I sure do appreciate you, and hope to see you at the golf tournament next year.
Well, hey, Chris, I appreciate you having me on, and I really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Tyler Reddick here from 2311 Racing. Victory Lane? Yeah, it's even better with Chumba by my side. Race to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
If you work in university maintenance, Grainger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.